Kia ora koutou. Welcome to our shout out event where we look to showcase some of the amazing organisations within the Sustainable Business Network who can help you with sustainable solutions. My name is James and I lead the work to create a more circular economy at the Sustainable Business Network. Today at this event we're going to be taking a look at the office environment, and we'll be hearing from two amazing organisations who are helping keeping products in use rather than in the landfill. We're going to be hearing for about 5 minutes from each of our two speakers, and during that period there's lots of time and opportunity to ask questions that I'll run through at the end of each of those talks. And first up, we're going to be hearing from Ruth Boyle, who's a general manager of award-winning waste management company Junk Run, and she'll be sharing about how they are collecting waste materials from customers and then redistributing them through quite an incredible network of resource recovery solutions. We'll then hear from Serena Maitland, whom she is the general manager of George Walker's Office Furniture, who've literally saved thousands of items of furniture from going to landfill by keeping them in reuse. So just a reminder again that that you can, and we want you to ask questions. This is your opportunity, and you can do that by typing them through to me in that Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. So it's a pleasure then to introduce our first speaker. So Ruth Boyle at Junk Run, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Very good.
Yeah, I'm Ruth. I'm the general manager at Junk Run. Shall I go ahead and share my screens and tell you a little bit more about Junk Run? Hopefully this works. Is that right? Can you see that okay?
Can't see that quite yet.
Oh, what have I done? Is that working now?
Still not coming through quite. We can just see your face.
That's my face. Oh, hang on. Let me just try that again. Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Okay, sorry about that. First time Zoom sharing screen thing here. Okay, so just wanted to put into context what waste issues we faced here in New Zealand. And the statistics that I've found say that we're putting over 3 million tonnes of waste every year into landfill in New Zealand, which is just not sustainable. And for those of us that are more visual in the way that we like to think about things, the way I explain that is 126,000 of the biggest shipping containers a year, or if you like to think of it, 15,000 Auckland buses in terms of the volume of stuff that we're putting into landfill every year, which is just astonishing. And only about a fifth or 20% of that is actually the household curbside waste. The rest, unfortunately, is coming from commercial, office, business, and the construction and demolition sectors of New Zealand. So here at Junk Run, we are sustainable waste management leaders in Auckland, and our mission, our whole company is based around sending junk to a better place. That's the heart of everything we do. And so we divert well more than 70% of everything that we collect gets diverted away from landfill to be reused or recycled. And I don't think there's any other waste management in Auckland or even in New Zealand that can come close to that. We just genuinely want to change the way that New Zealanders think and deal with their waste. And so a key part of our work involves carefully hand sorting, hand separating everything that we're presented with, all the waste items on site as we collect them, just to ensure that we are checking them and then redirecting them to the most suitable recovery facilities, of which we've got strategic partnerships in place with many community organisations and charity groups and businesses like George Walker that we've worked with for many years, to make sure that these items are redirected and into the circular economy rather than just off to landfill. The other aspect to our business is something we're very proud of is we've got our own bespoke reporting system that includes cameras on all our trucks, and the way that we report is transparent and real time and means that we can verify every aspect of the waste items that we picked up, making sure that we're on target to keep 70% out of landfill. And also we can do reports at the end to show what percentage of that was either reused or recycled and where it ended up. And then just a bit about us as a company. We are Ministry of Environment previous winners. We are multiple award winners and finalists from the Sustainable Business Network. We're AKINA certified. We're Eco Warranty, which is international certification ISO 14001. And our health and safety is impact or pre-qual certified, and all our team are highly trained, site safe and first aid qualified team members. So I think best describe Junk Run as a business, a small business that's out there disrupting the general waste industry and flipping this whole waste collection model on its head, literally. So if there's anything you're doing out there that involves downsizing or moving an office, or you want furniture removed because you've got too much of it, or you've got commercial clear outs, or you can construction and demolition waste, or even residential waste, you can by all means contact us. And you can contact us on those numbers and that email and that website. And that's me.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for running us through that, Ruth. An impressive array of solutions, really, and in particular that sort of network that you've established, I know over many years, that you're able to redistribute materials. There's some questions coming through, and we'll just go and run through some of them. One was talking about the cost of creating a more circular office, and wondering if it's actually more expensive to do that.
To create a more circular office environment, you mean? Yeah,
just I think. Interesting to hear your thoughts on maybe how some of these practices can actually save money as well.
Well, what we see going on a lot, unfortunately, is cheap quality furniture being purchased on a budget when an office is being refurbished or set up, and then obviously the quality of that item does not last. And so a few years later down the road, we're being called in to remove these broken and damaged items or unwanted items, and then being replaced with the same sort of cheap furniture. So I do think that there are cost savings that people often overlook because they're not thinking about the end of life and how quickly that product's going to expire and what they're going to have to replace it with in a very short period of time. That's one of my first points, I think, to that question.
Absolutely great point, Ruth. Well made. Yeah. Are you able to just stop sharing the screen for a minute? So then, that's great. Another question's coming through is I suppose to expand a bit more on the on those relationships that you have with regards to redistributing some of these materials. You know, is it charity or how does all that work?
Well, we've been in business since 2005, so it's been a long time, and we have an extensive in-house database going on of resource recovery recipients, and we're always on the lookout for new. But I think the whole mission of sending junk to a better place is so inbred in all of us here that we will go the extra mile to find a home for something. And we're quite creative and get on the phones and work out where things can go if we haven't got a direct recipient in mind straight away. So I think over the years we've had some really interesting stories with old refrigerator panels coming out of shops, for example, being rehomed to an organic mushroom farmer who was just starting up a brand new business. So yeah, stories like that. I think it all comes down to our tenacity at Junk Run and trying to do the right thing with these items as they come across our trucks. But yeah, we do have strategic partnerships with lots of charities and community groups and businesses that we've worked with for a long period of time, including people like George Walker.
Great. Yeah, quite a practical question here for you, Ruth.
Yes.
Do junk run customers need to pre-sort waste before collection, or do they put it in one big pile and use it out?
You could do either. You know, there is a slight price difference if we have to take the time to sort it. But with construction sites, for example, we can do a lot of pre-planning before the projects start to set up the construction site in a way that it reduces that time that it takes to sort. So it's all pre-sorted. But no, the answer is we can sort it for you, either or, doesn't matter.
Hey, I'd be interested to hear, I mean, in terms of the types of items, are there particular items that you're constantly seeing that you're needing to deal with, and are there ones that are more problematic than others?
Yes and yes. We get, I think, the most common things we see so regularly at the moment, particularly after COVID, MDF, and we hate it with a passion. That'd be fair to say, because there are no environmentally sound solutions for MDF in New Zealand, full stop. It's such a toxic product. If it's in good condition, we can work with people like George Walker and obviously charities and that to keep it within the reuse loop in New Zealand. But I really urge people to think again about the MDF that they're buying and where is it coming from, because we see so much of it. It's cheap and it falls apart and it doesn't last, and it's a nightmare to deal with, unfortunately. So. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Yeah, it is a massive issue. And I suppose, I mean, a question is, I suppose it builds on a question you answered previously, and following on from this question, you know, and it's really, I suppose, some advice for organisations to start thinking, you know, higher up the waste hierarchy and trying to prevent you having to deal with some of these issues in the first place. Is there any general advice you have for organisations around how to more embed that, I suppose, into their office environment? And
yeah, I think maybe first of all, think about the product you're buying in the beginning and whether it's going to last, and what you will actually do with that product when it is time to say goodbye to it. Where will it end up? If you're starting from scratch trying to put together an office, talk to someone like George Walker, who has all the secondhand solutions that you can kit an office out from where to go. Everything in our office is secondhand and it's perfectly good use. But yeah, starting from scratch, thinking about what you're buying, thinking about 5-10 years down the road, what do you need? What's your organisation going to look like? What am I going to do with these items? And how am I physically going to get them out of the building? Because that's the other thing that's tricky quite a lot of the time, logistics of getting stuff out of a building. I really urge people to think about that. Yeah, and look at some different materials. Yeah.
And I suppose, yeah, maybe a final question coming through. I mean, we're going to hear from Serena in a minute, but are there any other, I suppose, outlets and ways that businesses can get hold of some of the materials that you're dealing with that still, in your view, have a use?
So some of the second-hand items.
Yeah.
I think, you know, like I already said, talk to people like George Walker. You can certainly look on second-hand items. Yeah, I think, and then just second-hand generally. Yeah, I think George Walker's probably your best place to start with, to be honest.
Well, that's
good segue for you.
What a great segue then, Ruth. So thank you so much for sharing those that service you offer, and then also providing some, you know, shedding some light on how businesses can really start to take more of a systemic approach. And of course, the Sustainable Business Network also has a resource, the Circular Economy Model Office, that we can put a link to that resource in the follow-up to this event. But so thanks again, Ruth, and it's a great pleasure now to be able to introduce Serena Maitland, the General Manager at George Walker's Furniture. So welcome to Serena, and over to you.
Thanks, James. Let's see how we go here. My tech skills aren't amazing, but we will see how we go. Has that worked?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, perfect. So I thought I'd start, a lot of people don't know who we are and what we stand for, and I think it's quite important with our story. We're quite proud of it. We're 3 generations of women running George Walker's. Started an auction, so we've mum's an auctioneer, so always been dealing with people in a period of loss or change. With Trade Me, we had to change how the business worked, and we actually got a call from Deloitte. This was probably about 10 years ago, and they had a whole office of office furniture that they needed to sell, and that's where Mum sort of took the jump. It was pretty risky at the time, and that's where we switched to office furniture and doing used office furniture. Yeah. We really pride ourselves on being able to help clients. So sometimes that means that we might not be able to offer the solution that they're after, but that is just because we, I guess, hold our integrity quite high. So we can see whether your old furniture could be used in a new space, whether we can repurpose it, we can resize it, or whether it's too dated but might be good for refurbishing. We can figure out whether the furniture would be better suited within the community, and if it's not fit for resale, what can we do with it? So we do hold and donate quite a lot of furniture to the community. It could even be that we dismantle Maltika, and we've got community groups that will come and take those pieces and make things out of it. In regards to expanding businesses, we can find matches for what you've already got, so you don't have to go and refit everything out. If you've got something that's not quite working for you, then maybe we could take that and replace it with something that is more efficient. Going to smaller workstations so you can fit more people in your space without having to move, all that sort of thing. So where it comes from. So we buy in bulk from corporate companies who are moving. Taking furniture with them means quite a loss of productivity, having staff off work while furniture is moved. It might not fit with the new space effectively. And the good thing about that is those companies spend a lot of money taking into consideration ergonomics, productivity design, noise reduction, a lot of those sorts of things, which means that it takes a lot of planning, and they're buying top end of the commercial furniture range, which means that we don't have to, buying from us isn't going to mean that you're getting something that's of a lesser quality. And in most cases, you're going to get something that is better than, you know, if you were to go and buy something from Warehouse Stationery or something like that. It's got a life expectancy that's expected to last a really, really long time. We're really proud to partner with people like Jug Run to reduce the environmental impact when disposing of office furniture, if it's a necessity, obviously. We love the fact that we can offer a sustainable solution without compromising on quality, and we can also help SMEs achieve their goals of a sustainable office space where they might have been outpriced in the market otherwise sometimes. We offer our furniture to the community to build their own furniture out of. We just dismantle it and have it all ready for them. As a family, we are heavily involved in community projects. Michelle, who owns the business and is also my mum, provides her auctioneering services free to charities to raise money. My grandmother, who's also here, is a JP for the Citizens Advice Bureau, and I am the animal whisperer of the family and run a dog rescue. What we're looking for is people that we can partner with. We're looking for introductions to people who make the decisions when it comes to fit outs. be that private, government, not-for-profit, those who are in charge of procurement, so we can make a bigger difference than what we're doing now. Thanks, James.
Great, excellent. Many thanks for that overview of those of that great service you provide, Serena. So it sounds like there might be a bit of dismantling going on in the background there.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the warehouse.
That's great. No, that's great. That's where it's, that's where it's all happening. So it's great to be part of that. I think there's some questions coming through, which is great. I'll start things off by I've got one question. Is there a piece of furniture that is the most desirable and sought after that you find that just sort of flies out of the shop there?
I think at the moment with COVID, we're doing a lot more home office stuff. So a lot of it for us at the moment is chairs. Can't get enough chairs. People have been working on their dining room tables and things like that, and they're getting sore backs. So chairs are flying out at the moment. And small desks. We customize a lot of stuff. So what we do is we cut down existing, obviously, desks to size, and then we re-edge them. So we're getting a lot of people who've got like a small nook at home that they just need to fit something into. So they'll give us their measurements. We'll cut it all down, re-edge it, put some legs on it, and create something custom for them.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, great to know that you can customize for customers. Fascinating to hear about then. Yes, with more people working at home, and then that's sort of a consequence of that. You're getting more orders for comfortable work chairs at home. Makes complete sense. There were some questions from the audience. One was, can businesses simply donate their furniture, or is there a cost to have it taken away, or how does that work?
So what we take into consideration is, like what Ruth was saying, which people don't realise, is the cost of getting the furniture out. And it can cost thousands depending on where you are. For instance, if you're in High Street in the city, access is very limited. It's got to be done outside of hours. There's hardly any loading docks, all that sort of thing. So all of those costs come into play when we're looking at bringing furniture in. And we team up with Junk Run quite a lot, because there'll be some stuff that doesn't have a resale market, and they will help find other homes for it with organisations. Yeah, but there is always a cost. Whether it just depends. It varies so massively.
Yeah. So I mean, the warehouse looks pretty full behind you. Have you got space?
They're pretty full.
Yeah. We got space for more stuff.
They're pretty full. We've always got space. We make space. my warehouse boys wouldn't be too happy with me saying that, but we find the space.
Great. There's a question here about what are some of the common challenges businesses face when moving that they might forget to consider when getting new furniture or having it removed? I suppose that might be looking at, how do you ensure that a reused option is in the mix at the sort of design phase, rather than just all shiny new stuff?
Yeah, it is a really difficult thing, because for it to make it to secondhand, it has to be really good quality. So the kit set stuff that you're going to find at the warehouse and those kinds of places that you can just get drop shipped doesn't generally make it here. And if it does, we generally will cut it up and make it into something else, because it just doesn't work anymore once it's been taken apart a few times. And I think it's really important for people to be considering that when they are buying new, because especially if you've got a growing business, if you're going to end up needing to move because you've grown to a certain point, then that furniture, if you're buying at the bottom end of the market, which is normally all the MDF type stuff, it's going to have no resale value. So what do you do with it? Whereas if you buy good stuff at the beginning, it's going to be easier at the end to find a solution for it.
Yeah, so that makes sense, and obviously some common themes coming through from yourself and Ruth about those making those the right choices with regards to good quality products that are actually going to last.
Yeah, and the good thing about secondhand as well, we've done some really big projects too. We did 300 fit out for one of the DHBs and all secondhand stuff. We refurbed all the partitions and it came out brand new, and it saved, you know, probably $500,000-$600,000. So it's people being a bit smarter about, you know.
I mean, are you finding that? I mean, is there less of a stigma, say now, around secondhand?
I think so. I think some people still will just think secondhand and automatically sort of assume that it's not going to be good, and that's just life. But once people come in and see what stuff is, then they don't go anywhere else. They know that they're going to get something. You can have your branded colours on your partition still. You can still, you know, have all the design features of buying new just without a giant price and saving the environment while you're at it.
Yeah, so there's a few wins there by...
yeah, massively.
Yeah. And so, I mean, are you seeing business growing over the years with increased interest?
Yeah, COVID's been very interesting. So we've seen a big move to people working from home, but we've also seen people refitting spaces out because I guess a lot of the time that they've spent over the last few weeks has been figuring out how they're going to do things a bit more efficiently. So we're seeing people rejigging the office spaces to make them a bit more dynamic. So they can have people working from home and working in the office, but without fixed stations as such. And making the office a bit more collaborative rather than cubicles and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I suppose, you'll be seeing those sort of trends in sort of office workspace and being able to adapt, I suppose, with your, there seems to be quite a lot of interest in your customizing offering. So, I suppose that's a way that you'll be able to...
and it doesn't cost the same as going to a cabinet maker. We know we're using stuff that's already here. We're not buying new sheets of, Malteca. It's all done with desktops. And there's not a 12-week wait time. We're looking at probably, at the moment, about 4 or 5 days turnaround on custom items.
Yeah. That's very speedy.
Yeah.
And then a question's come through about, do you also offer layout advice for office spaces?
We do. So that's part of my role here. So I do a lot of fit out design and laying out of furniture, trying to figure out the best use for the space. And sizing, people have no idea. They come in and they want 10 desks, but they don't know what size is going to fit in the space. So I kind of work that all out for them. And we do that free. That's something we don't charge for.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. I suppose, is there, just a finish off, is there any sort of overarching advice you'd offer to businesses out there when looking at this space?
I think just put a lot of thought into what you're buying. It becomes a huge problem at the end for everybody and for the environment. So I think making smarter choices at the start means that we're going to be left with less of a problem at the end. The waste, the cost, it's not necessary. Like, it's really not necessary. With a little bit more thought, it shouldn't be happening. Yeah.
Absolutely agree. Great advice there, Serena. Well articulated.
Thank you.
At the beginning. Hey, so thanks so much again to Serena and again to Ruth for sharing what they do and answering those questions. Thanks to all those who've been dialing in via Zoom and on Facebook. We have a resource I mentioned earlier, the Circular Economy Model Office, so it perhaps provides some of those overarching considerations and makes it sort of clearer where the services of Junk Run and George Walkers can fit into that. So we'll provide details of how to get access to that. But so that's it for this shout-out session today. Thanks again, and let's make smarter choices. Thanks so much. Goodbye.